Hey folks, this is Kate. We're in the Gusto People Advisory Study and Accountability Group. I'm going to bring it up here on my other computer so I can make sure this is streaming. Please chime in if anyone can hear us. Let me see, get this in the right spot. Hope everyone's having a great day. Let's see, do I see me streaming anywhere in here? I see Will gave me a thumbs up. So glad that we're here. Chime in, let us know if you're watching. Let us know where you're from. Tell us a joke. We're here today. We're back with Jacqueline and Annie. Y'all met them last week when we kicked off. Annie is our dedicated representative as our partner. We are all accountant partners, and she's our main go-to gal. And Jacqueline is sort of the engine behind the People Advisory certification. So they're here today. The plan for today is to answer any questions people have about the curriculum and the study process. We're also going to answer any questions that you have about the material you've been learning. I've got a list of questions that I've been taking notes on as I've been going through the modules. And so they're here to answer, they're the experts, so they'll answer those questions. And then we're going to do, I have some images of what's going to be in the prizes on October 14th is when we're going to have our drawing for anyone who has finished. Gusto's been very generous, and so stay tuned for that. But yeah, glad you're back, Annie and Jacqueline. Thanks so much for being here. I got a couple of questions. One I'd like to start with is, just if anyone's struggling with any of the material, or if folks are finding anything difficult to grasp, chime in. But in the meantime, Jacqueline, I know you've responded to some questions. Anything that you've seen from our group or even in the other groups about like maybe where new folks are getting hung up on any of this material?
Well, I suppose my first reaction is that it's a lot, and it's like a lot of it's pretty dense and pretty technical. So all of the questions that have been coming through, I've just been sort of humbled by how thoughtful they are and how seriously folks are taking the material, which is just a testament to you as an advisor, and your clients are lucky to work with you. So your go-to resources as you get sort of into the weeds with the technical questions, our help center is phenomenal. And I can tell you that for the 6 months that I was working on the certification program, I was in the help center like 8 hours a day, looking up different details and there's like articles on articles that have all of the different regulations listed out by state. And the team behind our help center are our compliance experts, like they're true payroll benefits HR experts. So That's your first go-to resource for the more nitty-gritty technical things. And then certainly, like I saw a question in there, I think it was from John about the small group guaranteed availability period. Kate, I saw your question about, like what is this about exempt, non-exempt?
Oh yeah, I'm going to ask you that later. if you're not going to explain it now, or you can, but I do want to get into that. But what were you meaning when you saw that you were making your list of questions? So what was that about?
Oh, just that like with the guaranteed availability period, there's a lot there to unpack. And so as you get like deeper into that technical line of questioning, talk to a licensed Gusto benefits advisor, and they'll help you kind of see heads and tails and help you figure out like what you can communicate to the client and then what they're better suited to answer.
Okay. So yeah, I'm going to ask about that exempt, non-exempt thing later. Annie, question for you. Just how are things going? Do you feel like, have you caught up through the list of folks? Have people been able to get on your calendar to get started on the certification? Is there anything that you need to say about that? So the process of becoming a partner so we can get started on the cert.
Yeah, so what I'll say is thank you for bearing with us. For context, generally the process to become a partner takes a little bit more time. It's really important for us to make sure that Gusto is a good fit for you. So I know the certification is something we all want to do, but thank you for bearing with us, because generally it takes a call, it takes a little bit of planning and strategy, and then we decide if that's a good fit for you to become a partner with us. Obviously, I want you all to become partners with Gusto so you can take the certification, have that foundation. So we just tweaked it a little bit to make sure that instead of you having to jump on a call with me, I posted this in the Facebook group, but please just actually go to Kate's link and then email me right after you've done that with the name of your business, and then I can do all the work in the back end. So that gets rid of the need for us to wait a little bit, jump on a call, schedule it out, do all kind of the process, and you can just do this in your own time. I'd say I'm pretty much caught up. If you've emailed me within the past 12 to 24 hours, I'm working through it. This has been a little bit of an inundation. I'm super excited that everyone is ready to become a partner. So thank you again for bearing with me. It just is taking a little bit of time for me to make sure everyone is technically and properly set up.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for your hard work. And just a couple of things, and actually this is a great time for me to make this clear. So when you become a Gusto partner, like I am, there's going to be 2 referral links that you have. This applies to everybody. One is if you refer a small business to Gusto, which I've got some tips about that, about making a blog article on your website to be able to, if people reach out to you and you're not a good fit, or they're not a good fit for ongoing service, but they still have payroll questions. I mean, you can tell them about Gusto. Anyway, the referral fee for that, I think, is $100 if they run 3 payrolls.
They don't have to do anything. They just have to run 1 payroll, and then you get $100.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is that's relevant for this, and the reason why following Annie's instructions about signing up is there's an accountant referral as well. And if both sides of the relationship, the referrer and the new partner, get $500 in an Amazon gift card. And so by going through the referral link, you and I will be, you listening and I will be partnered up. And if you sign 3 new clients in 12 months,
Mm-hmm.
We will both get this. And it's really super, super important for me to make that clear. I think people can kind of tell that I'm kind of geeky about this, making a team and getting people excited. I'm coming from an authentic place, but there is monetary compensation to me. And so I always, y'all know me, I like to make that extremely clear, so no one thinks that there's underhanded intentions. But you'll have that as well. So as you're starting to tell people about your business and your help, maybe it's your turn to return the favor and start helping people build their business, they can become a Gusto partner, and then you could use your accountant referral link for that. So that's the point of going through the steps, and not just sending a random email to Gusto saying I want to be a Gusto partner, because then you would miss out on the being paired up with an accountant referrer. So all right, so we got lots of folks listening. I hope that some of y'all can chime in with some of your own questions about the material. And I promise you that there is no question that you're going to ask that someone else in this group doesn't ask. If you need to ask, what does FICA stand for? Or how, what's the difference between gross and net payroll? Someone is going to have that question. There's no, this is not an advanced group. Don't be shy. I have a list of questions, and I promise you, if y'all took the time to read them, you'll say what? She didn't know that? It's, be empowered by that asking questions is a good thing. It doesn't mean it's not a shortcoming. So I got my chat up over here, so I'll ask them. I'm trying to look right here on this. Was I going to ask y'all anything, Jacqueline, Annie? Okay. Actually, until I get some of those questions, and otherwise we're just going to go through mine, y'all. The one thing I did want to say was if anyone had feedback for Jacqueline on the curriculum process, I said that I would ask that, and she was excited about that, because this is what she gets paid to do. She has to make this as excellent as possible, and so it's not very often that she gets this little ripe cohort of people all kind of doing it together and giving feedback. So we're also interested in that. how's the process going? Do you like the format? Is video better than reading? I know for me, like I've watched a lot of accounting training in the last 2 years, and it can be pretty bad. I mean, like at the end of the day, I'm thinking like, what a hard thing to make training about payroll. Like, and it's really, it's definitely one of the better in learning environments I've seen. I don't know if anyone else thinks that. Like the cards are really cool. I like having the references at the end. In my mind, what I was thinking was, as long as I can remember kind of the chunks of the training, I'll be able to know in and go. Like, because you said that the help desk is, or the help blog is available, but it's even more pointed if you go to like those resources that are listed in the kind of like footnotes, except you got to click on them.
Kate, you're good if you're deep in the references. I'm already impressed.
Well, I haven't been reading them necessarily. I've made a mental note. I've made a mental note that someone already took the time to like sift through the library and give me the like, here's what I need about like what the W-2 parts look like. I'm trying to remember what some of them might have been, but or the rules about the states. Like, no one's going to memorize that. Like, I mean, well,
I don't even know all that, and I eat, sleep, and breathe gusto state tax details. So,
all right, I've stalled long enough to get a question. We got Janet here. Questions on Module 3. As I'm setting up my employee, there's no option at the bottom for time off. After the employment status, it asks for default hours per pay period, and then tax exemptions. So I'm gonna try to get. What's the point of that question?
I think I can unpack it.
Okay.
You first have to set a policy in time off, or else it's not going to allow you to have anything in your drop down. So if you're in the demo account looking through adding an employee, don't worry about adding time off to them yet. You can go in later on once you've set the policies in place, and then go in and add them there, or right in the time off tab, there's a way for you to add in and drop in all the employees who are part of that policy, or if there's a different policy, then you can pick and choose. So again, it's not going to populate because you haven't populated anything, but we give multiple areas for you to then do it later on.
That's super cool. So this concept of a policy, those are unique and totally customizable per client. So one of my clients is like everyone gets 2 weeks off, and the next client is everyone gets 2 days every month or something like that. Like
right.
Customize it first, and then it just applies it to that client's employees.
Exactly. So within each section or within each client's account, nothing is going to transfer from one client, from client A's account to client B. It won't default based off if you have 90% of the clients having the same PTO policy. That doesn't mean the other 10% will default to that.
Okay.
It's based off each customized or each client's needs and policies. So even though you have access to all of them, we're really making it individualized on each client's account.
One thing I would add to that too is that even within a given client's account, you can set up multiple PTO policies. So for example, if you have PTO policy A for hourly employees and PTO policy B for salaried employees, you can do that too within Gusto.
Have y'all noticed any of your accountant partners, like, you know how like accountants are always trying to like, import the same 80% of the bank rules that are the same for each client or whatever. Is there a sense that like we can, as we're advising our clients, that we're like, this is what a 10-person company like typically tries to do, and like import it for them? Or does every client kind of have to go through and like think about each part of a time off policy? Does that make sense at all? Annie, what do you?
I can take that. Yeah. So what we'll tell you is for policies that are required and have state regulations like sick time, we will give those guidelines. And so we'll say, okay, you are in state X and Y, right? And so we want to make sure to give you the proper links so that you are doing a compliant policy. However, a lot of times time off policies are what you want or are based off kind of certain regulations within the state. We're here to make it customizable. And the good news is if you have a system or a policy that you would recommend across the board for all clients, setting up a PTO policy takes 2 minutes. It's really, really simple. It's a few drop downs and clicks.
Okay.
So duplication is really not a big deal to go into each client as you're setting them up and do that.
Okay, cool. Janet, I'm hoping that hit everything. No, it doesn't also. Where do we review the onboarding documents?
So there is a documents tab on the left side. As you're going through the onboarding steps, it's a little bit masked because we want to get through the necessary 10 onboarding steps. However, there's an Explore Gusto at the top, which brings you to the normal dashboard and your tabs. There's a whole documents tab there for both the employees and the company. So you can go in and review the documents there. You can add custom documents if you're on the Complete or Concierge plan, so that you can have, your employee handbook or a non-disclosure agreement or any type of document that you want to have as you send an employee an offer letter or an onboarding process. So we can knock that all out of the way before they even start their first day.
Okay. I think that hits you, Janet. So let us know, retype a question if I missed that. And yeah, there'll always be kind of a little bit of a disconnect between training and then, the software guys are always like jacking with the interface and improving it most of the time with any software. So it's hard to keep that training accurate. So reach out to the support chat, look at the helplines, reach out to Annie if you're in the middle of something like. Clearly she knows her dashboard. She's like talking about exactly where to click. So save yourself time and just call her. Hey, Michael has some feedback for the training. The training is a good combo of reading, video, cards, references. One of the better training platforms I've been on. Y'all, that's great. Please contact Jacqueline. Please let her know your feedback. We're all professionals here, and like collaboration is like, it's just so good. She can handle the feedback. Her doing her job better is going to make us do our job better. So Gusto's really not getting any, they're doing this out of the goodness of their hearts, essentially. Like there's nothing in this for them except like, this is what's in it for them, our feedback. So please give it. The
good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm here for it.
Yes.
But lots of good. Thank you. That's so awesome to hear.
Lori says she likes the training format so far. We got a quick question from Noemi. I do not quite get the option for S Corp with 2% shareholder effect on premiums added to gross earnings so that income is taxed into gross wages versus not added. That's kind of a complex question, and I don't really understand the word of it. So I'm just going to turn it over to y'all.
Annie, do you want to take that one or do you want me to?
I actually don't have too much. I can give kind of an overview, but it's generally for benefits conversation. So Jacqueline, if you have more insight, otherwise I can give a good direction.
Okay, why don't you give direction and then I'll add some flavor if I have it.
Perfect. Yeah. So generally benefits are different, have a different taxation status if you are a shareholder or if you have more than 2% ownership of the company. So we like to ask that question because if you ever have benefits down the road, we actually tax at a different, I believe it's pre-tax versus post-tax. And so if you want more information on that, happy to have a benefits advisor chat with you because they are the ones who are licensed to advise. Again, I give the 30,000 feet up view. And Jacqueline, if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly right. And a licensed benefits advisor can help you unpack all of that legalese because it is really hard to understand. I think that the long and the short of it is that if you own the company, you kind of can't pay into your own benefits and then receive the pre-tax benefit as both the company and the individual. So the IRS has thoughts and opinions on that, which is why they've said, hey, owners of if you're this, S Corp and you have more than 2% share, like you can't game us, right?
So the thing that I'm thinking, first of all, I'm going to have to really study this, but I haven't gotten to the benefits section. So that's maybe why it's not jiving with me. But I have my clients, all the ones that I have on Gusto are all like sole operators who've grown big enough to, it's tax advantageous to become an S Corp. So does this apply to them? Because they're 100% owner. So that.
Right. So it's anything more than 2%. So
okay.
that the lingo is a little confusing because you're like, well, why 2%? But that's just what the IRS decided as the cutoff. So anything more. So if you're 100%, definitely applies to you.
I would say this is probably most S corps are over 2%. I mean, husband and wife, father and son, father and daughter. Okay, so pay attention to that part, y'all. Cool. Amy says the training is very clear and the questions are not tricky, which sometimes certain questions can be like, it's like gotcha, which is no fun. And they're relevant to the information. I love the additional resources available. That's one of the things I was talking about. She says, will we always have access to the documents? I'm guessing like the training and then those links at the bottom were in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a reference piece. And I think we hit on this last week too, which is that like there's a lot to take in. So if there's parts that stick or parts where it's just planting a seed, you can always go back and reference. And the first time you go through the program, the modules are sequenced. But when you go back next time, you can hop around the different modules. So you
perfect.
Take them in order.
Perfect. Yeah, just feedback for y'all. What I have been doing is I've opened a Google Doc, which is more searchable than what the actual training platform. So I'm not copying everything, but some of the stuff, it's kind of like I'm trying to think what I really did a big dump on a cut and paste. I can't even remember. Well, actually, y'all have a link to my Google Doc in the Facebook group. But I've done that because I thought there's certain things I'm going to want to search, and then it'll let me kind of know which module to go back to. So highly recommend that. And I'm putting my questions and my notes and my come back later to learn more, because a lot of what I'm learning is, I can tell it's going to be important maybe to next year's Kate, but not quite ready, not quite yet, Kate. All right. Are there any downloadable documents to help supplement this training? Bill, you said Will wrote a book. Is it kind of going along with the training?
the playbook?
So the playbook is, you can think of the People Advisory Playbook as augmenting your People Advisory journey. Okay. So once you're done with People Advisory certification and you've built that foundational knowledge, the People Advisory Playbook does a phenomenal job at translating how you take that knowledge base and then turn it into a service line. And so it sort of straddles this, like, how do you monetize and sell people advisory with how do you sell advisory, since it's also nuanced and it's also intertwined. So it was written by Will Lopez, who's our head of accountant community, and gives his best practice on selling, marketing, and monetizing people advisory as a service. Okay. In regards to, I'm sorry, Kate.
No, I was going to say I can't wait to read that, because those are some of my questions. Like, how do I turn this into money? But
yeah, that's
any
real.
other download? I don't. Trying to think what I would have wanted to download, but maybe that's
really, there's not a sort of companion guide that would be an ebook of certification. Your two places that you can always reference are, again, the Help Center, as specific questions come to mind when you're working with a client. And the other great place I'll call out is our Talk Shop blog. So the Talk Shop blog, you can find it on gusto.com, and it's generally written to suit a small business audience, so more for our direct small business customers. But one thing you can consider doing is referencing it for knowledge for yourself. And also, if you find a Talk Shop article that you find really helpful, you can repost it. And so that's all great content for you and your social feeds.
Carlin, I'm going to call you out because you're wondering if there's any downloadable documents. Take 5 minutes and write an email to Jacqueline and explain like what you're wanting. Like, what's that hole that is like, but Jacqueline, I came to the end of my module and I'm like looking for my download that says blah, 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 and I can't find it. Work with her, give her that feedback. Because right now it's kind of vague, but she might be like, oh, yeah, I can, that's a great ad, and we'll put it at the bottom of every module. So that's your challenge. Hopefully you don't let me down. All right, reach out to Jacqueline. Noemi again says, in the training, it states that bookkeepers and advisors can sign form 8655 for clients. I'm wondering how common is this actually? How common is it for this form to be signed by bookkeepers?
Go ahead, Anna.
Jacqueline, if you want to take it, I don't have stats on it. I just know that it typically is when someone a bookkeeper or accountant is doing all of the hands-on onboarding for the client, they typically will get the consent from the business owner to be the signatory of documents. And then therefore they sign the 8655 and direct deposit forms. Those are typically the two biggest unnecessary forms that we need signed. I'd say 50% of the time they get their clients to just go in and do it themselves because it's very easy to get them to sign it on their own.
Okay. Holy moly. Carlin says, I've taken a lot of notes. In fact, I have 162 pages in a Word doc. Holla! I'm only like at 10.
That's awesome.
Cool. Because that's going to be searchable for you, Carlin. That's going to be an improvement of like, which module? So good for you for taking the time to do that. That's active learning. Our old college professors would be happy. Will is answering Noemi. So I'm going to skip that. All right, we need some more questions from y'all. Tell me more about, one of my very first questions was I said I'm unsatisfied with the non-exempt versus exempt discussion, and I still have I'm not understanding it at all. So could y'all help me? I'll try to word it better for y'all. Hold on. It was in part 1, right? I have my document right here. Non-exempt versus exempt classifications are completely new to me. I wish there was a plain language example. Can anyone tell me I'm 5?
I guess the way it's kind of stuck for me is you're either exempt from the FLSA or you're not exempt from the FLSA.
Okay, exempt from the FLSA, which it's in the compliance with the FLSA submodule. So that's clearer. Thank you. Should have probably gotten that.
Are we clear on what the FLSA is?
Well, I have it written down I spelled the acronym out, Fair Labor Standards Act, and it sets basic minimum wages, and it describes how to classify employees and contractors. Those are my notes I'm seeing. Explain it to me more.
Yeah. No, Jack, can go for it.
One of my all-time favorite stories that I came across when I was researching certification has to do with the FLSA, which is sounds kind of crazy, but it's true. So if you think back, if anybody read The Jungle by Upton Sinclair back in high school, where you're
the meat
just terrified by the working conditions that were, it's terrified. That was industrial America, late 1800s, early 1900s, and working conditions were just terrible. And there was a woman by the name of Frances Perkins who was a bystander in 1911 to the Triangle Factory shirtwaist fire. You may or may not have heard of it. It was this pretty gruesome event where a bunch of women seamstresses were working at the top floor of a building in New York, and the managers didn't want them to take bathroom breaks, so they locked them in. A fire happened in the factory, and the women jumped to their deaths. Very gruesome. And Frances Perkins was a bystander to that event, and it turned her into this lifelong crusader for women's rights and for worker rights. And she is the woman behind OSHA. That's the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. It started in New York. And eventually she was tapped by FDR to be the very first female secretary of anything. And she was the Secretary of Labor in the 1930s. And she's the woman behind the Fair Labor Standards Act. And she basically said, child labor is not okay.
Okay.
Making people work for $1 a day isn't okay. Not giving people bathroom breaks isn't okay. Let's put some laws in place to protect against this. And so she gave birth to the Fair Labor Standards Act. And so if you think about how you classify employees, non-exempt employees mean that you have to abide by all of the rules in the Fair Labor Standards Act. You have to pay them for their hours worked, you have to pay them overtime, and you have to meet the other requirements that are all listed out in certification. Whereas exempt workers are exempt from the FLSA. Typically they're salaried, meaning that they're paid for their knowledge as opposed to hours or output.
Okay. So there's more to it, but in general, salaried versus hourly is
Kind
a
of.
good division.
Or
Kind
you could even, you could even think like non-exempt means that they are salaried eligible for overtime, whereas exempt means no matter how long they work, they're not getting any overtime.
Okay.
And Kate, I would say yes. So I think salary versus hourly is kind of the long and the short of it. If you're unsure, work with a Gusto certified HR pro. They're
Okay.
available through the concierge plans. And like, as you get into, like, if there's something that's confusing or if there's nitty gritty, talk to a pro.
Okay.
That's their job.
Yeah.
We got, oh my gosh, goosebumps. I'm learning about Gusto and getting a history lesson. So cool knowing the backstory of these regulations. After we get our cert, we'll all have a book club reading The Jungle, get a glass of wine.
Look up Frances Perkins. She's also the woman behind Social Security. She was like a complete
badass.
Just badass. Yeah, super amazing.
And she I guess when I think Social Security and like all these like extra lines and I mean the cert talks about this a little bit, like that's why bookkeepers and payroll specialists were needed, because it all of a sudden got crazy complicated and it's not, you couldn't just like give your guy $1 when he walked out the door anymore. So I'm glad that you loved that little aside. Keep asking questions. I'm going to go back. I had a couple of others. I put my questions in italics, and then I put my notes in bold. That's how I did my document, if anyone wants to copy me. But it doesn't spill over when I copy it into the units. Oh, speaking of, I made a unit, which is a Facebook thing, a Facebook group thing, for every module except the testing modules. And my thought was, because again, I'm trying to make this as collaborative and we can become friends, and Kristen and I can discuss the jungle one day, that sort of thing. Now I know that she loves the history, to be collaborative. So my thought was, if anyone else is making these documents, don't worry about like, proofreading, like grab it, post it in there. It'll be useful for the Gusto team. It might be useful. I'm kind of thinking like, I don't have to shut this group down a year from now. It'd be like if I have a health benefits question, I might even come back to the unit of the group and say like, what else did people say? And you can do searches in Facebook, like within the Facebook group too. If you, go to the magnifying glass, type the word that you're looking for, and you might be able to get a quick answer that way if we all share our notes and our questions and help each other answer.
That's amazing. I love that.
Yeah, so
I have a question, and maybe some of y'all listening could answer about the journal entry. So, this is still in the payroll part. I have 3 clients that are on Gusto right now, and when the journal entry comes over, they're connected to QuickBooks Online. All of my journal entries are like 2. It's like the wage, and then it's the tax one. And I was wondering if anyone teaches Gustos, like if anyone links more accounts than that, separating out taxes. We can't separate out taxes. Is that right? I was trying to remember the mappings. But I didn't know if I was like doing it the junior varsity way and there was like a more varsity way to do it. Because I've seen people, like I subcontract for a guy and he has very detailed payroll journal that I do for him. But I haven't set that up for my own clients. And I didn't know if that was just because I was being lazy or if I'll regret that later. In my mind, I'm kind of thinking, well, if I really want payroll data, I'm probably not going to go to my QuickBooks file. I'm probably going to like log back into the Gusto reports. But what do y'all do, those of you listening, for your journal entries? Or what do y'all recommend, Jacqueline and Annie, while we're waiting to see if anyone responds? Are they 2-line journal entries, wages and taxes? Anyone know? Or
I generally recommend, so there are different ways to split it up, and as you'll see on the top when you map your chart of accounts, there's basic, advanced, and all. And I generally look at the basic or advanced. The reason of this is basic breaks it down very simply. It doesn't have to be too complex. If that works for you, great. Advanced is if you need a little bit more granularity, but it still keeps that it will always be a credit or a debit, or like a liability or an expense. Whereas if you go to all bets are off, and you can do anything into a liability or anything into an expense, and it gets a little bit crazy. It's kind of like the wild west of mapping accounts.
Okay.
So if you stay within the advanced section, we're trying to keep you within the tracks, but it still lets you get as granular as you'd like, with mapping different charts of accounts. And then what I'll say just in addition to that is we have some pretty great updates in terms of mapping departments. So if you want to see your sales versus your management team and the wages and taxes associated, we can map by department. We can also do by different jobs now. And then the best thing that I'm so excited, because since I've been at Gusto, this has been something we've been asking for, and we just rolled it out. And it's projects. So if you have a salaried team and you need to track project A versus project B for all the expenses so that you can properly bill clients, we now have the ability to aggregate those projects tracked within by each employee and then export those into QuickBooks Online or Xero.
Okay.
So it might be a little that might be a lot because you haven't done that yet for many of you. But this is just an overview, kind of saying what you can do, and then talk to me when you want to get more specific with a client.
The thing that that's sticking out to me is, even though we have basic, advanced, and all, stay away from the all, y'all. Stay away from the all. Go with the basic or the advanced.
Yep. Unless you know more and you want to change it up and have a different process, it's there for you. But just if you're getting used to it, I say stay within the lines.
All right. I like listening to Annie. I've listened to her for a year now. If Gusto is integrated within their software, do the journal entries for payroll automatically occur in that software? So it does with QuickBooks Online and Xero, or that there was two
Correct.
videos about that. I don't know if you're wondering about another software, Janet.
But yes, it will auto sync. You can turn it on to auto sync, or you can manually push. So you have the functionality either way.
Yeah, I have mine auto, and I'm satisfied. My clients are simple. They're all single person payrolls, but I've just kind of wondered if I needed to jump through more hoops. Trinity's saying, my client has recently asked me about having certain employee wages appear in the P&L above the line for COGS. From my investigation, it can be done, and I think I figured it out. Oh, you're answering my question for me, Trinity. Okay, yeah, about the getting more creative with the how to map and breaking stuff up. So that's great. Janet, it looks like Will has answered one of your questions, so I'm gonna let him do that. Jody loves projects, so she loves that news.
Yay! If you try it out, please give me feedback, because again, it's new. Very, very hungry for any feedback on our project tracking and all of that. So yes, please give me feedback.
I'll also add, we just released one of the another product screenshot videos in the same vein that you've been seeing throughout certification. So Will, if you could go to Gusto's YouTube channel and grab our brand new project tracking video and share that with the group, that would be awesome.
Cool. That'll live here in the comments in this Facebook group. For anyone listening, if you catch this video on YouTube, the comments are going to be back in the Facebook group, but also just Google like Gusto project management. Go to their YouTube channel. I'm sure they've got YouTube geniuses figuring out how to search, make stuff searchable. So Jody's she's excited because she has construction clients, so the project tracking is huge for them.
Awesome.
The Janet about the integration, she was asking specifically about Wave. Is that on the horizon? I know it's not there now. Integrate it with Wave?
Let me take a quick look.
We'll come back to that.
I'll come back, yeah.
Okay, when you keep looking that up, I'm going to go back to scrolling through my document for another question. This is, you said Will's book, which I guess will be our step to do after we finish our cert, answers this, but just the concept of charging for onboarding and setting up state tax accounts. I was wondering how people price that. I mean, I've charged for it sort of, and I have no idea if I'm doing that right. that right. It feels right to me, but I've kind of just done my whole business on feel, and I think not everyone thinks that's the best way to do it. So, but yeah, if anyone, I'm curious how people have decided how to charge with bringing someone new onto Gusto. So if y'all want to comment on that, chime in, let me know. Share in the Facebook group, like, hey guys, I just had a successful, $200 onboard, whatever. I don't know how much. I don't even know if that's the right ballpark or not. That's kind of my ballpark.
Kate, I feel like that can make such a great discussion topic for our very last call.
Okay.
And maybe Will can join us, because at that point, everybody will be done with certification and we can talk about the playbook and what's next on the horizon.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a very detailed one. In the People Advisory starts with Payroll submodule. There was two phrases: work email provisioning and software provisioning, and I had no idea what that was. What are those things?
Okay, so I take it that person is in the HR module about employee Are you in the HR module?
This was in module 4, Payroll : People Advisory. Okay,
well, regardless, it doesn't matter the module. Back in maybe 3 months ago, we were so excited to announce our new employee onboarding experience. And one of our new products is being able to provision software, which really just means to provide a new software account. So from within Gusto, as you help your client onboard a new employee, you can help set that employee up with that company's Google email. So that way you don't have to leave Gusto and go to Google and add the employee's Google email. You can do it all within Gusto. Same, for example, if you use Zoom or if you use Asana, I hope that those are some of the softwares that we integrate with.
You're not sure? Okay, bookkeepers use them.
I'm saying them off the top of my head. I think that they are. You can provide them with those software accounts from within Gusto, meaning you don't have to log into 5 different systems to set up one employee. So it helps save you or your client an infinite amount of time, and it really brings home this idea of Gusto as being the people platform, being the one central place for all of your clients' people needs.
Okay.
And then just to answer the question about Wave, we've had talks about it. That's why I just wanted to see where the status was. Nothing yet, but we are constantly increasing our integration partners and who we work with. So that might be in our roadmap in the near future.
Okay. I just made a note, sort of a shocking note to me, that Gusto can send a new employee a card. And I was like, huh, really? And then I wanted to know if anyone has done that. And are we talking like a greeting card? What is a welcome card? I said, Gusto can send a new employee a welcome card.
It's so cute and heartwarming. As you go through the new employee onboarding flow, you can preview links so you can preview what it looks like. And there's a video that shows the preview of it. But yeah, it reminds them to submit their W-4, their onboarding documents. It gives directions to the company. And then you can also type in a custom note that's like, so excited to have you on the team.
But is it a piece of paper?
It's digital.
No. Okay, it's digital. Okay. I don't know. Maybe
also birthday cards. That's another one that you can get people to sign and send.
Okay. Very cool. All right, everybody. Trinity's saying she's never done that, but she needs to bring it to her client's attention. So great job. All right, we're at about 50 minutes. That's plenty of time. I'll get my questions answered in the group. I am going to show y'all so we have 2 weeks left. October 14th is the deadline to finish. We're going to be back here at 3:00 Eastern. And so you need to get moving. You still have time to finish if you basically knock out one module a day. The testing is considered one of the 15 modules, but it's way faster than the 4 previous, there's 4 modules and then the quiz. So you still have time, even if you basically just try to learn one of the study modules a day. So don't delay. because we have some prizes we're going to give out. So the current word from Gusto, and I kind of am a little pushy, and so that was, right now we have 20 to 30. So to me that means 30 swag boxes is my most recent email from them. And I have a picture here I'm going to show y'all. This is what we are going to get raffled for. Hold on, let me go to screen share. Shoot a monkey, hold on. Share screen. And I'm going to share, hold on. Golly, give me a second, guys. I'm going to share my screen number 1, I hope. Can y'all see a picture here? Yes? Okay.
Yes.
This is, oh golly, now it's kind of acting weird. We get socks. We get a Gusto Yeti, and then we get this little thing right here is a webcam hider. So I guess you put it like right on your little laptop, and if you don't want it to, your computer to spy on you, you can hide your webcam. So this is what the swag boxes are, and we're gonna do a raffle on the 14th for that. Now, I was a little pushy also, and I asked for a grand prize, and this is gonna be our grand prize. It is a Timbuktu Gusto backpack. Super cool and super valuable. The trick for this, next week, we're going to have Gusto's, one of their PR folks, a woman named Caitlin, who I LinkedIn stalked her a little bit. She's been like a news reporter. She's like marketing pro. She's going to tell us how we can sort of answer the so what. We've received our certification. How can we use it to grow our businesses? And to win the grand prize, because I have a theory, anyone who makes a video and shares it either on their website or on their LinkedIn, on their business Facebook page, to be eligible for the grand prize, you have to make a video. And that sounds probably terrifying. I think I've made like I made lots of videos for the bookkeeping side hustle group, but for my actual bookkeeping business, I think I've made like one. Because like, you're making a video about bookkeeping, that's kind of hard. Like, what do we say? But I have a theory that if anyone has the guts to make a video and share it and go through the steps to, like, you know, you're probably going to shoot it like 5 or 6 times for your first one. It's so nerve-wracking. If you do that, I think you'll have, like, the correlation of chance of success for your bookkeeping business is very high. So this is the grand prize. So finish your cert, and then next week we're going to learn how do we share the information kind of in general, but I'm also going to get her to say, okay, what would be a great, like, 1-minute clip, 2-minute clip? What can we say? What can we talk about what we learned from this certification? So I'm excited that the Gusto was generous to give these prizes, and I think we're going to have some pretty high, the odds of winning are going to be high because, like I said, I'm claiming that they're going to give 30 of these away. Or not the backpacks, but the swag boxes. Melissa, what needs to be included in the video? I don't think, I have no rules. I just think if you share it on the Facebook page that you made the video, and, you know, it's so nerve-wracking. Oh my gosh, I'm nervous thinking about, like, what am I going to say? It doesn't matter. You can say, hey, you know, world, I just finished this certification with Gusto, and I would like to let y'all know 3 great tips about how Gusto can make your payroll process easier, and go boom, boom, boom. I don't know. That's the problem. You're going to be thinking about it all night in bed, Janet, and in the shower. What do you say? I don't know. But if you can figure that out, you're going to be a good bookkeeper. You're going to be good at business. You're not going to be you can be a good bookkeeper if you don't make a video, but you'll be good at business if you can make yourself make a video. Okay, I've rambled long enough. I'm excited to, let me go back to our faces here. Stop share. Here we go. Hold on. Right there. All right, Jacqueline and Annie, thank you. We will be back next week. We have more certification questions, so bring them. I'm hoping, my goal is to be done by next Wednesday. We'll see if I can keep that goal. Encourage each other, y'all. Let's keep each other busy. Tell us if you want to jump on at like 6 in the morning. I'll like commit to, like, okay, I'll be here too. We'll get 30 minutes in. Happy to do that with anybody. And then next week we'll finish up our questions, and we'll get some training on how to use this in our marketing for our business. So, all right, I'm going to sign off, and I don't think I've forgotten anything. Did I forget anything?
No, thank you so much for having us. Great
Yeah,
work,
thanks everyone.
Thank
Yeah,
you. All right,
keep up.
everyone go study now. All right, bye.
Bye.